This is your Pain Game podcast, where we talk about the game of living in and with chronic pain and trauma, getting to the heart of how to heal. I am your host, Lyndsay Soprano. On this show, I plan on discussing with doctors, chronic pain patients, holistic practitioners, loved ones, and anybody that is interested in having their voice heard in the chronic pain and trauma world that we live in. You know, over the course of this show, I have met some pretty spectacularly amazing people, right? Who I've formed amazing friendships with, and I've learned so much from. And I've been blessed to have these people share their stories with me and with you, and they sit within the fabric of my being now. And for that, I am fully blessed, you know, but sometimes as I'm going out and I'm looking for guests for this show, sometimes they're sitting right next to you. You know, some of our closest and dearest people that have been part of our lives for so many years that also need to have their voices be heard. And it takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of chutzpah to come and be on a show like this where you are raw and you are vulnerable and you are honest and open and you're talking to somebody like me who's not going to let you get away with a lot of shit, right? But, you know, we talk about a lot of grief and loss on this show, but we also cover how we overcome it. And I think that's really the most important part, is that healing, you know, whatever that loss might be. And however we matriculate that, whatever that means to each individual, we all process differently. And so in my world, my biggest loss is my mobility. As you all know, with my CRPS and my BOD and Lyme disease and all the co-infections that have come with that, and years of atrophy and years of misdiagnoses, here I am, mobile for half of my life. And lately, it's been almost full days of immobility. That is loss. And it is the hardest thing that I am dealing with in my life, that I have been faced with. And I've been faced with a lot of crazy ass trauma. This is the hardest thing that I am trying to conquer. And then there are people who have lost everything in their lives. They've lost their homes. They've lost all of their money, their fortunes, their careers. They've lost children, right? And we always talk about a lot of heavy here, and we try to do it in a depraved and uplifting way in the midst of all of the darkness and sadness and dark and twisty stuff that we talk about here. But within that grief and in that loss, you know, we get through it and we figure out how to do it. So today I want to talk about loss and grief and how we can help support each other in a more loving, practical, and honest way. And most importantly, honor the process that we go through in order to grieve. So without further ado, I would like to reintroduce you to one of my best friends on the planet, my little wiggle worm, #dub, Shannon Villanueva.
Hello.
Hello, my darling.
Thanks for having me
We've been friends since we were 15 and 16 years old.
Singing together, dancing together, like
doing
crazy little
trucking through everything that we've been through. And we both have been through a lot together and separately. And you know, you were a guest on this show early days. You were on this show on episode 8, Shannon, which is nuts because we're creeping up on 100 here. And that's, it's amazing how far we've come together and separately over the past year and a half and 2 years. So it's nice to have you back here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
So Shannon is a registered diagnostic medical sonographer, which is AKA, it's like an ultrasound technician. And, you know, she started out when we were in high school, she started out right out of the gates, like getting married and popping out babies, right? And when that happens when you're young, as a stay-at-home mom for the first 11 years to her 2 daughters, she kind of got into her career journey a little bit later in life, and we'll get into that. So she's been a sonographer for over 14 years. She's been working full-time at Hoag Hospital, which is where she actually started as an intern here in Southern California. It's an amazing organization, Hoag, and all that they do for our healthcare system around here. And she just recently opened up her own private business called Blooming Babies Ultrasound. And it's located here in Central Orange County, which for those of you that are not familiarized with the area, it's around Huntington Beach. So if you're in Los Angeles or in San Diego or in Orange County, you can come and see her without a snap. I am rolling out the red carpet for you, babe. And we're going to get talking about some of the yucky loss that you've been through, but how you have come out of it like a blooming baby. So let's talk about the sadness, my sweet love, of what happened to you in November of 2001 with your twin girls. And let's take it from there.
Right. So my girls, 15 months apart, Riley and Skylar, were about 2.5 and 2.5 and 4 at the time. And of course, I got pregnant unexpectedly. It was definitely a shock. And then the biggest shock was to find out that I was having twins. And I just remember thinking, what the heck am I going to do? How am I going to have twins? I have a small little condo. My girls share a room. Just all the thoughts and crazy, shocking things that go through your mind. You're not expecting that.
Yeah.
But you just go with it. And then finding out another 2 girls. So, okay, I'm going to have 4 girls, and trying to wrap your mind around that. And I had stayed, like you said, I got married young, had Riley at 21, Skylar at 22, and now I'm 25 and going to have 4 kids. And you just kind of deal with what comes. At the time, I was not in the medical field at all. I never thought I would ever be in the medical field. It was the last thing from my mind.
I would have never thought you would have gotten into medicine at all.
Oh, no,
yeah.
Nobody. I hated I would pass out going to the doctor. I was the one passing out, seeing blood. Now the things I deal with, I'm like, what the heck? So now it doesn't bother me at all. Anyways, so halfway through my pregnancy, I was, at 20 weeks when you get the anatomy scan, I remember my sister going with me and 2 kids in tow, and going for the anatomy scan, knowing nothing, just trusting what the doctors tell you. Just, okay, whatever they tell you. Okay, great.
Right.
Ultrasound, you look at, you're like, sure, if you tell me that's a hand, that's a hand. I don't know what I'm looking at. But I knew something was wrong. The ultrasound tech who had done my ultrasounds with my first 2, she was great. She said, I need to get the doctor. There's a lot of fluid. And I wasn't super surprised because I was really, really big for 20 weeks. I wasn't, and I was tiny.
You're a little peanut.
At the time, I think I was 105 pounds, and I had a big old belly and super uncomfortable and a lot of pain. And come to find out, the twins were sharing a placenta, which is twin-to-twin transfusion. So I found out that the umbilical cords were going into one placenta. They did have their separate sac, but because the blood flow wasn't crossing equally, one sac had so much amniotic fluid and the other one didn't have as much. So one baby was growing normal, one was growing not okay, blah, blah, blah. So I'm getting all this information just very, very quickly. Looking back at the time, looking back at that appointment, hardly anything. That's kind of all. Actually, I didn't even know it was twin-to-twin transfusion at the time until I was hospitalized. The OB I had at the time was just very blasé. It's like, oh, it'll be fine. You're going to go see a specialist. I'll have you see one of my specialists at, I won't say the name of the place because I don't want anyone scared if they go there. But he's like, you'll be fine. Just go see him next week. And at the time, I remember I had plans to go visit a friend in San Francisco. And I said, is it okay to travel? Oh, sure. No problem. Okay. Looking back, no. Everything was wrong.
Should not have been travel.
I should have honestly been gone to the hospital. Like knowing what I know now, it should have been, let's check your cervix. Let's get you need to go be seen. You need to be checked. Nothing was really told that should have been told, but
Well, we find that in healthcare, that we find that it's like we're used to the medical industry where we trust what is being told to us because they've got medical degrees on their walls. And I can tell you that I've got about 17 more than any doctor I've ever seen at this point in time for my own bod. I'm like, how do I know this and you don't?
No, it's scary.
It's very scary. Yeah. And then hindsight, you're looking back going, I was right the whole freaking time.
I would have.
Or how did you miss this? Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah. Super sad. But yeah, so moving forward, I ended up staying home. I'm like, I didn't feel right about going anywhere. I just didn't feel good. I started spotting, cramping, the whole thing. I think it was the next day, maybe 2 days later, I had my husband at the time take me to the ER, or labor and delivery, because something was wrong. Just fell off, and with the spotting, it just didn't feel right. And I had excruciating back pain because of all that. I had so much fluid and so much pressure on my cervix and my back. And so I went in, and come to find out, they said, "Oh yeah, you're contracting. So they hooked me up to all the stuff, and it kind of was just I had no clue what was happening. I was clueless.
Well, and also you're a baby too. I
was
mean,
25. I didn't
yeah.
There's so much I didn't.
Can you imagine what we were like 20 plus years ago? Complete nimrods.
Yeah. So oblivious to anything and everything. And I was just kind of laying there like, okay, whatever you say.
That's you too, though.
Yeah. Just go with the flow.
My little blondie.
In some aspects, but I've taken control of a lot of things.
So here you are, and you're this 25-year-old not knowing what the heck is going on, but saying yes to all of these doctors that are around you, because you can't say no. Yeah.
I'm still thinking. I wasn't even thinking. I don't even know what I was thinking, to be honest. I just was like, here, do the IV. Okay, we're going to roll you over to what's called antepartum. I didn't even know that word at the time. Didn't even know what that meant. And
what does antepartum mean?
So antepartum, yeah. So I guess I shouldn't assume everybody knows. So
see, look at you.
Typically, it's where they would put a high risk pregnant woman who is maybe at risk for delivering but isn't in labor. So let's say they want to keep you flat on your back because you are in imminent danger of delivering, but they're going to try to do everything to keep you from delivering. So they may put you on what's called magnesium. They gave me a shot of something to keep me from contracting until the perinatologist, the high risk OB, could see me the next morning. So it basically kind of just keeps you, nurses just watch you for however long you need to stay there until it could be the whole rest of the pregnancy or up until you deliver.
Yeah, that's trauma in and of itself. Months.
Oh yeah. Well,
oh my gosh.
Little did I know. I didn't even know what a panic attack was. I never even heard of that until I actually had one. And I didn't even know until months later that's what I was having, because that's what started my panic attacks, was in the hospital. And some of the nurses, man, there's great nurses that were just angels. And then some of them were just treated you like you're a nuisance. Like, I have to clean this up. You're vomiting, because the magnesium would make you sick and vomit uncontrollably. And I couldn't help myself. I couldn't move. I was strapped down to the bed, basically. They didn't want me moving. I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom because they were afraid the babies would come out, I guess. So,
just drop on out.
I guess so. Yeah. Flat on
You're
your back.
25. You're like, they're really just going to fall out of me if I stand up? Oh my God. Absolutely. Raise my legs immediately. Don't let me leave this bed.
Seriously.
Well, and there's some of that is naivete, and some of that is complete just disregard for us as a human being in the situation that you're in. And so you're there, and you've got to be scared and alone. And, we think about a medicine 20 plus years ago. Holy crap, have we come a long way from 20 years ago?
Oh, for sure.
And the fear factor that comes around childbearing in our world is obviously comes from all these different places. We've been biting on sticks in the middle of the woods for some time. Why do we need all of this hospital intervention and all of this extra stuff that we might not necessarily need that adds trauma to the baby? But that's for a different show.
That's different. Yes.
I have a lot to say about that. So when it comes to you being there and your legs are up and you are waiting
my
for
legs
like
were not
what's
up.
next. So well, you know what I mean. I'm just saying, generally speaking. Okay, so your
Flat on
legs
my
are not up.
back.
You are there being taken care of
When
and you're
you're
on your
flat on
back.
your back and being told you can't move, you can't get up, that is not a good feeling. That makes you want to do the opposite. It makes
Of
you want to
course.
scream and run outside.
Right. Yeah. It's like the rebellious teenager in us, Don't tell me what I can't do, because of course I'm going to do what you tell me to not do. I'm going to do. Hello.
100%.
Yeah.
And I remember this was on a Friday night, and I still wasn't really nothing was really explained to me. I just knew that like, oh, you're contracting. That's pretty much all I knew. I'm like, okay. Nothing else was explained to me until the next day when on a Saturday, I saw the perinatologist who is the expert in this and did the ultrasound, and he explained a little more. But even then, I still was like, okay. It's crazy to me to think how little doctors, not all, I will never group all doctors or all nurses in one clump because that's just ridiculous. But
sure. And
I'm learning this now too. They just don't spend the time to really explain such basic things. It'll take a couple minutes of your time to say, this is what's happening. This is what I'm seeing, this, and just to understand what could happen, what might happen, there's so many little details that they could explain to patients just to put them at ease.
I was just going to say the ease of anxiety, the ease of here you are, you're carrying 2 little babies in your body. And that in and of itself is scary enough.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 little ones that you already have, and your ex-husband at the time, your husband at the time, and, all that stuff. So now you're there and you've got this going on. So what happens next?
So I just remember the doctor saying, you have identical twins. They're sharing a placenta. I think he said, I could be wrong, but I think he said there's like an 80 to 90% chance that you are going to deliver early and they won't make it. And that still didn't process. I still was like, okay, I'll be fine.
Yeah, because that's the positive person in you, though. You're looking at the 20% or the 25% or whatever, not the negative part of it. Sure. Yeah. But that's you.
That's totally me with everything and with people. Yeah. I see the best in everybody, but
I know. And sometimes it bites us in the ass.
Sometimes it's not. Yeah. I'm learning. Anyways, so basically I'm just still sitting there. And then Sunday comes the next day and a nurse comes in and she goes, oh, we're moving you over to labor and delivery, but you're fine. Now,
they're like, I'm not supposed to have these babies for like 20 more weeks. I'm not fine.
Yeah, I'm only 23 weeks, like barely. I think I was
not fine.
Weeks. Yeah. I think I was just almost 23 weeks, but I still in my mind was like, okay. I was just chilling. Like, it's so crazy. Yeah. Because now who I am now, I would have been asking questions. I would have been researching. I mean, I didn't even have a cell phone at the time in 2000.
Well, of course not. We didn't have anything like that. I mean, we're going back to that. Like right now we can hop on our iPhone and we can figure out whatever the hell we need to about anything. Exactly. We can give our own tests. Yeah.
So that would have
we have much knowledge is power, but knowledge is also very scary. So how long were you in there? I just want to make sure that we're tightened up on time so that we get to the story about what happened here. So you're there and obviously you're just listening. You're this young girl and you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And they're like, yeah, we're going to bring you into labor. And you're going, I'm sorry. What did you just tell me? So what happened then?
So that was on a Sunday. I'm in labor and delivery and I'm just hooked up to an IV, just kind of laying there feeling sick because of the medication they put you on to try to keep you from going into labor. Sure. Never once, they checked my cervix, I think one time. And I think they said I was dilated, but I still in my mind was like, okay, like, yeah, that's not a good thing. But anyways, okay. So that was on a Sunday. Monday morning, my water breaks and it was like a freaking waterfall I had so much
fluid
everywhere. And I remember one of the nurses going, oh, we're going to have to change the sheets. That was her comment. Not like, you're about to lose babies. Like they are pre-viable. These babies are not going to survive. So my water breaks, I'm basically at a 10. And I remember them coming in and just shooting me up with stuff. And I was like drowsy. They didn't ask, not once. They did the epidural. They didn't say, this is what we're doing. They said, okay, turn over. We're going to give you this. They didn't say, do you want drugs? Do you want to be put under? Do you want, like, nothing was asked. I don't ever remember them saying, do you want the epidural? Do you want it? Nope, they just gave it to me. So I think in their minds, they were thinking it's just better if she doesn't feel anything because she's going to lose the twins. I think that's what they were thinking. I don't know. Anyways, next thing you know, doctor's in there and she's like, okay, babies are ready to come out. And I'm not feeling any pain, but
like ready to come out.
They're literally they're coming out. You're having the babies.
Right.
They're coming out. And I wasn't because I had so many drugs and I felt so drowsy at the time. I couldn't make any decisions. And as they're coming out, she's telling me, so the babies are going to be alive until I cut the cord. So are you going to want to see them and hold them? And I'm thinking, yeah, it was bad.
Shut up.
I'm like, I can't, what? No, I don't know anyone.
Oh my God.
And then they said, neonatal won't come in because we can't save them. They're too early. So we won't try anything. We're not going to try to revive them. We're not going to try to do anything. They're just going to pass. As soon as the cord's cut, they're just going to pass. I'm like,
I have no words, which, as everybody knows, is very difficult for me to have no words. I'm completely speechless that's like, hey, are you cool with us like cutting the cord right now? Or I'm just the bedside manner of it is making me want to punch people right now.
Bad.
Oh my God, Shan.
And then the nurses, I had one good nurse, one that I still remember her name, Angelica. Oh. But other than that, it was just like, okay, this is what's happening. And I didn't want to see them because in my mind, I'm like, do I want to see these little babies that aren't totally formed and they're alive and then see them dead? I don't know if I could. I don't know how. I don't know. I just couldn't make that decision. And then, so I just remember them coming out and the rest is a blur. I don't remember anything after that. Yeah. I know that they did little footprints for me, thankfully, and they took pictures. Yeah. So I was able to get that information later. And then they would come in and say, okay, so are you going to bury them? Are you going to cremate? What do you want to do? And I'm like, nobody prepared me for anything. This is bizarre. And a lot of this stuff I didn't remember till later. Sometimes I think some memories didn't come till years later. So, and
some of them pop up when you're talking about stuff like right now, totally. Where you're like, oh my God, I completely forgot that even happened. Mm-hmm. That's what we do here on the Pain Game Podcast.
This happened.
We like to bring up things that we completely have pushed down and forgotten about. But there's reason why we did it. And there's reason why we still need to kind of resurrect some of those things that have been stuck in us. There's a reason why you still want to talk about it.
It helps with the healing process.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize talking about it, telling my story over and over and over and over has actually helped with the healing. I didn't realize that was part of healing. So it really has helped telling my story and being able to talk about it a lot. And I had no problem with it. I know some people have gone through really traumatic things and they don't want to talk about it, but at some point in time, you really need to. It will help you. That's one little nugget of truth.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, like we've talked about on the show too, it's like when I started this thing and the past couple episodes have been pretty emotional on my show. I've been a solo and I did another one with another girlfriend of mine where it's just been like, this show has been really heavy. And I didn't know that I was going to uncover as much of what I'm covering about myself. And then also uncovering a lot of stuff with some of my friends and family and people that are around me that listen or have been on the show or what have you that are like, oh my gosh, there's something that I want to talk about. And I'm like, oh, great. Oh, I opened up like a can of whoop ass for like a lot of people in my world, which is like good, but it's also very, very dark and twisty and heavy sometimes. And so having these conversations are hard. But knowing that you have a safe space to speak with and speak to in this regard, even if I don't record with you, I am happy to just pick up the phone and call me. Like I'm here for anybody that's listening to the show. And I always will be. It's something that it's something that's turned into the reason why I wake up in the morning is to do this, you know?
Which is amazing that you can do that.
And you've been through it all with me since we were so young, but it's pretty nuts. So I have a question in regards to what did you do with your girls that were alive and beautiful and kicking or still are? How did you talk to them about the loss of their twin sisters?
You know what? I feel like I'm sure some of it I forget.
Sure.
When they were so young, I probably could have done a better job. I don't know. I shouldn't even say that, but I'm just trying to remember. Specifically Skylar, she was almost 3, not even, she was 2.5, almost 3. And she took it a lot harder than Riley, who's 4. I just came home and I think I just tried to be strong for them, which I probably shouldn't have. I looking back, and I wish I would have cried more and grieved more and let them see that. I think it would have been better.
Well, that's something that you struggle with, just generally speaking.
I know.
Is that's something that's you that you're working on. We are all working on our shit, you know. That's something that you've struggled with. So I get it. Yeah,
I think I just was very just calm and loving, and you know, I lost the babies. The babies are in heaven, but that's kind of all I remember. And I know Skylar would draw pictures of her babies in heaven as little angels, and
my God,
they would draw, and so, they just were like, oh, where's the babies? But I do remember I would get phone calls from people, and the girls would hear me say, yeah, I lost the twins, and you know, whatever the conversation was. And Skylar would get so mad, my 2.5-year-old, and she would hit me on the legs, I remember, and she would say, why did you lose them? Go get them. They're at the hospital. That is the saddest thing to think about.
Oh my God.
Like thinking I lost. So think about a young child hearing her mom say, I lost the twins. In their mind, they're thinking, you lost my babies. She would say, you lost my babies, Mom. Why did you lose them? So I would have to try to explain to her, you know, that's not what happened. And, you know, but it's so hard for a little toddler to understand.
It's hard enough for you to understand what just happened, much less a 2.5, 3-year-old so quickly.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know, hospital, water breaks, delivery.
And you know what, Shannon, like you handled it the best that you could under the circumstances that you were under. So you've got to give yourself still some breaks.
I know.
Like, I could have handled that better. No, you couldn't have handled it better. You handled it the way that you could have under the circumstances, and give yourself some grace in that regard. And I mean, that's just a reminder to all of us. Like, I mean, I have moments where I'm like, man, I could have done that better. You know, and I'm like, but you know what? At the time, with the information I had and the emotion stuff that was going on or what was happening in our lives, we react and we respond the way that our bodies tell us to, and that's okay.
Yeah,
you know? As long as we're not hurting people,
right.
In the process, and including ourselves, which is the most challenging part in grieving, is not shaming and not feeling guilty and not putting the blame on ourselves.
Yeah,
and I think that's
put any
something.
Blame, which was good. And I know a lot of women do. Like, what did I do wrong? What did I do? And that's one huge thing I always tell my patients is, do not blame yourself, please. There's nothing you could do or could have done different. You did nothing. So please, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to grieve, but do not blame yourself at all. That's just like, do not go there.
Because that's a lifetime of shame that you will carry with you, and the body will keep the score.
You do not, it's just, nope, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Get rid of that. Take that and throw it away.
So with all of this stuff that happened with the twins and you starting, you know, your family as young as you did and all of that, did that make you or help lead you to the decision to get into ultrasound technology and get into working with babies? Because I know now your business is really focused on just for babies and mommies and the health of the babies. But what you do at Hogue and in your job is not just about babies, obviously. I'll never forget it on our episode together. You scan old homeless balls. I'll never forget it. So it's not all just this beautiful, happy baby stuff, right?
No.
So I'll never forget that for the rest of my life when you said that. But, you know, did that have any play in you choosing to get into being an ultrasound and getting into sonography?
Yeah, because after the twins, I had a lot of bleeding issues. I had to get a lot of ultrasounds after I had the twins because I was just all messed up. Probably, I mean, a lot of it obviously was probably stress and trauma, but whatever happened with my body, I just couldn't stop bleeding. And so, and then I go, you know what? I just knew in my heart of hearts I was done, and I didn't want any more kids. I didn't want to be pregnant again. And it wasn't because I lost the twins and I just can't, handle it. And I just felt okay and done. I waited a couple of years because everyone said, you know what, take your time. You just had a loss. You don't want to just say, I'm done, and
you're still young.
You're still young. You'll have more. And it's like, I understand you saying that,
more doesn't always mean better.
No, I just felt done. And people say, when you know, and I knew. And I go, I want to be able to provide for my girls and have them do things and be involved in things and be in sports. And, and I knew I needed to help financially. And so that was part of the reason. So going to all these ultrasound appointments, I just started talking to some of the techs, and then I started researching on my own. And I go, I want to have a career. Anybody can have a job. I want a career. So I kind of just balls to the wall. Like just went for
old homeless guys, balls to the wall. That's my girl.
I mean, initially was thinking, babies, I would love to be an ultrasound tech but I don't know if I could do that. It's so hard. I'm not smart enough. I was like a C student, D student. I'm not a schoolgirl. It's not me. But I just went for it. And I started school when the girls were 5 and 6 or 4 and 5-ish.
Yeah.
And just took one class at a time because I had never gone to college. I was a stay-at-home mom, got married young. So I just took one class at a time and just stayed the course. And thanks to my friends and family that were just very, very encouraging, like, you can do this, and helped with the kids. And so I did it, waited 3 years on the waiting list for Orange Coast College for the DMS program for ultrasonography, and got in the program. And I was like, I can't do this. This is way too hard. It was hard.
Yours is hard.
I mean,
good things in life are hard.
Yeah. But
I know.
If I could do it, anybody can do it. And that's like the old saying is, you could do whatever you want to do. You could do whatever you put your heart to. And it's so true. And then now I'm living my dream. But yeah.
Well, I love it. And I am so incredibly proud of you. I mean, I've watched you and I grow up together, and the crazy shenanigans that we both have been in, and you living with me and us going through all of our weird stuff, and then meeting your now husband, who's amazing. And you've got 2 stepdaughters, and you've got your 2 daughters, and you've got grandkids, and you've got another one just ready to pop out like in 2 seconds.
I know.
And, with all of that, I think that's neat that your girls have gotten into midwifery. And I kind of wanted to just chit chat about that really quick, about what your girls are up to, because I want to give you a shit ton of kudos.
Thank you.
Because you've raised 2 pretty awesome girls.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of them. And they've been through a lot.
They've been through a lot.
A lot. And
So can you tell us what they're up to? And then I want you to talk a little bit about your business, and then we got to hit the Justy Trail.
I know. I could go on and on about being able to be one little thing I just want to say before that is being on the other side and being able to be that loving, caring, nurturing ultrasound tech that a lot of techs aren't. And that's okay. They want to be more clinical. But I just feel because of the loss of my twins, I have been able to walk into a room knowing that there's no heartbeat, and just being able to sit and be in the moment and talk with them and tell them, this isn't the club you want to be a part of, but you are a part of this club now with the loss. And there's so many groups and support groups and resources now that are available. So being able to be that person to love on someone who has lost babies or are in a scary moment with their pregnancy the best feeling in the world. It's so rewarding. And anyways.
Yeah. And stepping away from that clinical feeling, but that heartfelt side of it. Cause that is true. And that's across all medicine. I mean, even in chronic pain, you know, I deal with the world of these pain doctors and all this. I tend to want to work with nurse practitioners more than I want to work with doctors because they give a shit.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that doctors don't. But unfortunately, with my experience, it's like about a 5% success rate with doctors and a 95% rate with everybody else that actually gives a crap. Yeah. So there is something to be said for that bedside manner and somebody that takes you home with them when they go home at night and they're talking to their wife or their husband at dinner and they're like, I've got this girl Shannon or I've got this girl Lyndsay and I really need to help them and I need to figure out how to do it. I take my clients home with me, you know, and I'm not in medicine. If I was in medicine, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Can you imagine me being a doctor? I would basically adopt every single person that came into my office. And I would cry forever about everybody.
It's
a tough job being a full-time empath. But anyway, so back to the girls.
So my girls are now 25 and 26. And so blessed now to have grandbabies and a third grandbaby on the way and 2 stepdaughters that are awesome. So it's just amazing that, I lost 2 girls, but now I gained.
That's so awesome.
And
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
100%. He brings the bad to the good. And it's been such a blessing. And to be able to bless others and hold their hands and show them their babies. I'm so emotionally involved with my patients. I can't explain it. It's the best. Yeah, okay, so Riley and Skylar.
I can, and I just did. You're an empath like myself, where you've gone through similar situations. That's
and
right.
When you're excited
you
about
can feel that.
I get very into it. So
I get very into it.
I get very into my job, and it's not a job. It's like I would do this for free, and that's why I started my business because I love it. So that's how much I love it. My girls have decided to become doulas. And if that is, if you don't know what a doula is, they're basically a support for before or during pregnancy, during labor, and postpartum. Mm-hmm. So they've taken classes, they've become certified together. Riley's due any day to have a baby. So she's kind of on hiatus right now. She's taking a little break, but Skylar's going full-fledged into it, and she's found her passion. And I even told her, you could become a midwife. You are into it. She's getting reviews that are amazing. She's just got this something about her, and the husbands, she's able to work with the husband and wife and help them through labor. And she's never even had a baby, but I know it's really cool. It's really
cool.
And
it's neat to see them find, when you see your kids find themselves and you see the people that you love find themselves on this weird long journey, like finding myself doing this thing. Like, wow, it took me a long time to get to do this.
Circle. It's so cool. I know. So I'm very excited.
And I think that you've paved a very wonderful path for them and have inspired them and have shown them grit and grace and getting through divorces and getting through this and getting through that and the loss and grief and moving and all of these things. You've shown them how to be a badass woman and mom and wife and grandma and all of these things, So, I love you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So she started her business, Blooming Babies Ultrasound. It's here in Orange County, Central Orange County, around Huntington Beach. Like I mentioned earlier in the episode, if you're in Los Angeles or San Diego or obviously anywhere within Orange County, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. You can take a train. There's all kinds of ways to get here. Her space is incredibly beautiful and welcoming. And then you get to be with Shannon. I mean, I don't know what more you would want to do with your life than hang out with my little peanut for just a little bit of time. She's got 72 nicknames, by the way. I think we've unleashed 3 or 4 of them today.
Nickname for me. There's always something new. I'm like, what is it now? Okay.
What is it today? I changed her name in my phone like every week because she's just got so many fun things that I want to call her. So we can find her on bloomingbabysultrasound.com. She's there on all of the socials as well. I will put this up on show notes. I'll put it obviously up in social. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with before we hit the dusty trail here, my sweet?
Yes. So my place is very, very private and serene and peaceful. And I welcome families, kids, babies. I've had people bring 5, 6 people. I love to involve the kids in it so they're not afraid and they know.
Everybody see my vagina.
Everybody does. Well, if it comes to having to do a vaginal scan, which I don't have to do very often here, then yes, everyone can step out. But yes, it's another thing, I like to set my apart from a lot of these other private ultrasound places. There's no waiting room. There's no crossing paths. I keep it very private. There's people that might not want, they don't want anyone to know they're pregnant yet, or they're very sensitive, or they've had a loss. Like I kind of want to cater to that. The loss, doesn't mean you have to have had a loss to come to me, but you're in a very safe space. I use very safe ultrasound practices. I work with a lot of midwives now, which is becoming a huge community here in Orange County. So I'm doing a lot more of anatomy scans. I do 3D, 4D, whatever you want. And I spend as much time with you. I don't set a timer and say, okay, time's up. It's however long you want the appointment to be, because it ends up being, across the board, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. It just depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, you won't see anybody else here. I always say, if you're a celebrity and want to come here, that'd be the perfect space. No one would ever know. And I wouldn't even know who you are because I don't know who anybody is. Dave makes fun of me. My husband makes fun of me.
I won't even know that you're a celebrity because I don't have time to even watch a movie right now. That's funny. Yeah, all right, so celebrities, we'll do some hashtags to bring in some celebrities for you.
I honestly, if you want privacy, you got it. And I wouldn't even know. I've had people come in, family, friends, that I don't say anything. People, they're like, you didn't tell me so-and-so was pregnant. I go, that's not up to me.
That's not my place. I have
no problem keeping a secret. No problem. Yeah. I've known gender. I've done gender reveals for family members, and I won't tell my sister. I won't tell my husband. I don't tell anybody. Yeah. So your secret's safe with me. And again, I just love families and bonding with your baby through ultrasound is just, it's amazing. So, and it's safe what I do. So if you have any questions, I'm an open book and I give you all results. I don't hide anything. If I see something, I tell you, so you don't have to wait for the doctor. Yeah. So
yeah, that unease when you go into an ultrasound, no matter whether you're pregnant or not, any kind of ultrasound. I mean, us women have to go through them ourselves as far as men as well. But there's always that hurry up and wait. And that's something that, is great that you're able to offer instantaneously. We've got to get to your doctor immediately. Yeah.
You will learn a lot if you come to me as well, because I like to educate. So it's fun for me to be able to explain the anatomy and what's going on and where this is on you and that. And so I want you to walk away feeling completely understood and calm and, no anxiety. You'll walk out feeling anxiety free. Guaranteed.
Well, every time I've hung out with you, which has been about 1 billion times, I always leave with a smile on my face. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Well, I love you. And thank you so much for spending the time with us today. I really appreciate it. And I'm so incredibly proud of you. And as you know, I support your business in any way that I can. So I'm just proud to be your friend and I will always be there. So
love you.
Thanks for being, I love you too, baby cakes. You are exclusively invited to share this navigating our grief and loss, but also with healing, this VIP pain journey together. Let's get to the heart of how to heal with you by my side. Do you know someone who needs to hear this conversation today? Did you need to hear this conversation today? Have you suffered loss that you need to talk to Shannon about, that you need to talk to me about? We're here. Reach out to me, reach out to Shannon. We will immediately answer your questions and reach out to you. And if you know anybody that's interested in being on the show as well, let's connect with them. Let's hear their heartfelt stories of strength and grit. That's what we're here for. I'm here to provide safety, a place that you can be vulnerable and that you can be honest while sharing your powerfully amazing stories. So please follow the Pain Game Podcast wherever you digest your podcast content. We will be there. Visit us at thepaingamepodcast.com and follow us on all the socials. Thanks for listening, my little VIPs. Catch you on the other side.